With gratitude, humility, and reverence, I offer my loving salutations at the lotus feet of Parabrahma Swarupa Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba. Respected elders, fellow truth seekers, Sai Ram to all of you. I extend my Christmas greetings to all the brothers and sisters from overseas, and Merry Christmas to all the children. Starvation, drought, ozone holes, greenhouse effects, crime taking to the streets, drugs ruling the world, recession, unemployment, countries going bankrupt. This is what we mostly see as the TV screen crackles open for the live news every night. This is what we hear and read in the newspapers every morning. T.S. Eliot asks in The Rock, where is the life that we have lost in living? Where is the wisdom that we have lost in knowledge? Where is the knowledge that we have lost in information? Shouldn't we think that there has been some defect somewhere in the process of human civilization? Shouldn't we by now know, by Bhagwan's grace, that this defect is a deficiency in the development of spiritual essence in man, the spirit of man, or the soul, which the society has been neglecting over centuries, because of which we have made this global society into a spiritual desert. Bhagwan says, the soul has not done what it has to do by merely developing itself into humanity. It has to develop this humanity into its higher possibilities. Obviously, the soul that is lodged in a Caribbean, or an untaught primitive, or an Apache of Paris, or an American gangster, or a European occupied in dynamic production, or an Asiatic peasant caught up in everyday life of domestic and economic affairs, has not exhausted the necessity of human birth. Bhagwan says, life is a spiritual journey. In this journey, it is a continual process of learning and ceaseless purification, so that further purification is an impossibility. To reach this point of truth, beyond which nothing needs to be learned, requires deepest patience and longest time. Our task, therefore, is to practice the merging with the wisdom aspect of God again and again, so that almost every activity becomes increasingly permeated with God's living presence. At other times and in other civilizations, this path of spiritual transformation was limited to a select number of people. With the advent of Bhagwan Baba, a large proportion of human race has an opportunity to seek this path of truth, and it is imperative, if the world needs to be preserved and protected from the clear and present dangers, both internal and external. At these times of violence and disintegration, spiritual path is not an elitist luxury. It is vital to our survival. Our society is dedicated to the celebration of ego with its false fantasies of success and power. It celebrates the very forces of greed and ignorance that are destroying this planet. At these times of acute danger, when we find ourselves lost and our future seems bleak, we stand bewildered, caught up in a matrix of nightmare that we have created on our own. It is at these times we have to hold on to Bhagwan's feet with more conviction than ever before, and faith, and close our eyes to the rest of the world, and deep within ourselves, we begin to realize the elating truth as expressed in the words of William Blake. He says, "He who binds to himself a joy does the winged life destroy. He who kisses the joy as it flies lives in eternity's sunrise. In this highly interdependent world of ours, man and nations can no longer live in separation or in isolation. Albert Einstein says, man is a part of a whole, which he calls it as universe. This, again, is a part in space and time. Therefore, man thinks, acts, and feels as separate from rest of it. This, he calls it as optical delusion of his own consciousness, which is like a prison restricting him to his own personal desires. Einstein therefore says we must get out of this prison by expanding our circles of compassion and embracing all the living beings. It is our individual and collective responsibility to embrace and nurture the global family, to care for the poor, and to protect and tend to the environment in which we live. This Bhagwan has expressed through his magnificent projects, the water projects, the super specialities with the state-of-the-art technology both here in Puttaparthi and Vrindavan, Bangalore, virtually free for anyone knocking on its doors. This is a gift of God to mankind. And these are model projects for all of us, so we may build them in future in all parts of the world. Our contemporary education indoctrinates in us the glorification of doubt and cynically denigrates almost all the philosophical ideals and ideologies that have been inherited or passed on to us in goodwill and understanding. In an age where school seems like a sterile addiction to contradiction, robbing us all of goodness and values, Bhagwan's educational system, imbued with value-oriented curriculum, teaches the contrary, thus checking the imbalances and deficiencies in thought and development of human soul. Bhagwan's teachings are such that we must not neglect them. If we do, it's only to our own peril. Bhagwan's educational system is such that it draws us towards the exalting energy fields of truth, which is Bhagwan himself. Swami says, heaven come true upon earth. Dushanambu himsa durambuga netti, prema bhavamulnu pempu jesi, sarva vegamanna sadbuddhi kaligina janule bhumini swargamaga marchadaru, says Swami. Brush aside the feelings of hatred and violence, develop the feelings of love and compassion. The presence of such people with good mind and intellect can alone make this earth the very heaven, says Swami. It is true, brothers and sisters. It is heaven come true upon earth today. We see people from all walks of life, scientists, sociologists, philosophers, doctors, lawyers, engineers, altruists, almost all the bigwigs of society coming here in human understanding, willing to share their knowledge, their power, their influence, just to help one another and better themselves. This is the biggest miracle of Bhagwan. And we're also delighted to see that even the leaders, with the result of Bhagwan's teachings, are talking of religious toleration as a need of the hour, whether it be a Muslim, Buddhist, Christian, or a Hindu. Man has been asking these questions over the centuries. Will utopia ever come to earth? Do we ever see God walking upon earth on his 2 feet? Is there a possibility of having one religion, and if so, what is it? The answer is yes, yes, and an emphatic yes. Swami, at this juncture, it is even needless for me to mention that you have answered all our questions that man has been waiting over the centuries. If at all God has come in his fullest splendor, majesty, and glory, it is here as Bhagwan Sri Satya Sai Baba. All the physical, chemical, psychical, moral, ethical, spiritual processes found anywhere in the world are progressive manifestations of divine urge to express itself as an individual pilgrimage to progress or perfection. God of Spinoza, the bare pure one of Plotinus, pure beauty of St. Augustine, the divine wilderness of Eckhart, God of Christians, God of Muslims, God of Buddhists. The principle of Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam of Taittiriya Upanishad is here seated amongst us. This is the God that I have ever known and heard of since the time I've been in my mother's womb. This is the God that Mother Ishwaramma has been instrumental to bring that Sat, that Satyam, that eternal principle as this Satyam walking on 2 feet amongst the people of earth today. He is Nityanandam Paramasukadam, Kevalam Jnanamurtim, Gangvatitam, Gaganasudrusam, Tattvamasadi Laksham, Ekam Nityam Vimalam Achalam, Sarvadi Sakshi Bhutam, Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam, Satyasaicham, Namo Namaha. He is the one without the second, Ekam Eva Advitiyam, as said in Upanishads. He is the one who is manifested as many, Ekam Sat Vipra Bahuda Vadanti. He is the Antaryamin, all-knowing and all-pervading God who works out the salvation of all of us, not only by an initial push, as he says, take 1 step towards me and I'll take 1,000,000. Not only by an initial push, but a persistent pull from the front, because he's not just the cause, but the goal of entire creation. After all these years of being with Bhagwan, I want all of us to be spirited with a sense of mission and work for the spiritual renaissance heralded by Bhagwan. Because we're all children of God here today to teach the world how to love, because that's the only religion we have learned here at his lotus feet. That's the only religion that he says mankind should follow. It doesn't matter who your parents are. It doesn't matter where you come from, what country, what creed, what caste, what culture. All that matters is how you choose to express this love through your family, through your work, through your profession, or whatever. Because it is our responsibility today. Tomorrow it will be the responsibility of all the generations that we bring forth to pass on this message of Swami to posterity. Dear brothers and sisters, in this age of entertainment, easy answers and quick fixes, vending machines, and of course, cell phones, more sober and untheatrical attributes of divine mastery, spiritual mastery, may very well go unnoticed. We may be even blind to the most dynamic and exuberantly playful manifestation of our Bhagwan. Remember one thing, amongst all the vicissitudes of life, Bhagwan, our Lord Swami, is our only hope, the lighthouse of all the humanity, the lost ship on sail. In conclusion, on behalf of the children and people of the world, as ever, I pray tonight and forevermore, Swami, bless us that we grow worthier of your love and grace. Bless us that we call ourselves as the instruments of God. And bless us that we live in dignity and honor that you have taught us. And let your name vibrate in my heart till the last breath escapes, because every drop of my blood, I owe it to you. Jai Sai Ram.